It's not necessarily the, sorry, what was I? Getting back on the train of thought that I was on. The Quest isn't necessarily an appealing option because of its $300 price point. The $300 price point does definitively make it the cheapest headset on the market, but if you get the upgraded version with the upgraded memory and like any sort of strap or carrying case, like I ended up spending closer to $500 on mine, right? You buy the Quest headset because you don't require the $1,000 computer needed to go ahead and play the same games that you can play on the Quest. That's what makes it so powerful. You know, kind of like the best example is honestly the Contact ESL. I don't know what ESL is, honestly. I'll reach out and contact whoever at this point. I've actually reached out to CCP Gray, which it sounds so silly, but he has a Quest and he plays virtual reality games. And then I also reached out to, who is it? Critical Charlie, who's a big YouTuber, but he gets motion sickness. So it's kind of like, okay, well, the games I'm playing, you know, they don't require movement. They're much less motion sick, but still. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, the best example, the best example is probably the Kinect, right? For those of you who may remember, because I'm dating myself with this now, I'm going to talk about the 360 Kinect versus the Wii. Now, for those of you who were not a kid when the Wii came out, or maybe were not alive when the Wii came out, which is a scary thought, but still, the Wii had motion controls out of the box, right? It was motion controls. That was the whole sell of the console. Now, did games still go ahead and have you flip the controller to the side and use it like an SNES controller? Yeah. And was that... Ooh! That was a good point from Gnarly. Ooh! And was that probably the better way of using those sorts of controls? Yes. But it also gave people the freedom to actually play around with those sort of mechanics in their games, right? So a great example is in the new Super Mario Bros. One of the power-ups had you go like this, along with using the controller in the normal method, and it was just a light smattering of motion controls, but it gave you another way to play, you know? And also, if you wanted to create a game that was entirely focused around motion controls, you could, which meant the developers didn't necessarily have to take nearly as much of a chance with their games. Because when you make a game with motion controls, and actually, then what happened was the Microsoft and Sony looked at the success of the Wii and went, oh shit, we need to have motion controls in our games. But they were an entirely separate add-on, right? The Kinect itself costs close to $100 when you get it with the little combo. And I have no idea about the PS4 motion controllers, right? But if you're and it was honestly pretty good. The Kinect is still something that's useful for like mixed reality camera footage and stuff like that. It was honestly pretty ahead of its time. But the thing is that unlike the Wii, it was a separate thing you had to buy. And so as a developer, when you look into making a game that possibly is, okay, there we go. I thought Gnarly was having issues for a second there. When you look into developing a game that's entirely focused around motion controls, right? Do you do that, or do you just make a normal Xbox game? Well, if you make the one entirely focused around them having the Kinect, you're probably going to get customers who have bought the Kinect and are waiting for games for it. But you're also going to arbitrarily split your player base, because you know, people who don't have a Kinect are going to be completely unable to play your games, which wasn't necessarily an issue with the Wii, because the Wii had it no matter what, right? So I've gotten very far ahead of myself, but now let's take this over to virtual reality. But before we do, ReapeR taking round one, right? So with virtual reality games actually aren't that terribly difficult to make. You can use a lot of the same tools that you'd use to make a normal game in order to make them as well. And then, you know, you just have to go ahead and, you know, actually make sure that your mechanics fit, you know, motion controls and I mean, even that really isn't a requirement. VR Fortnite is one of the fucking most popular games. You can literally just take a pre-existing game concept, gnarly taking point one there. That was sneaky. That was a good horizontal shot right there. Horizontal bounce shot. Yeah, let me just. But yeah, so you have to make sure that your game actually fits the virtual reality format, but you can use the same tools. But let's just take 2017 when CCP made the decision to go ahead and cut their virtual reality studio. You're gonna spend this much money on making a game. If you make a virtual reality game, it might be one of the few virtual reality games actually on the market, but you're going to arbitrarily split your player base. You know, people who do not have a VR headset and do not want to spend an additional $400, that's how much I spent on my Oculus Rift, on top of the, you know, possibly anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Oh man, Gnarly! Is Gnarly going to get golden letters here on ReapeR? My goodness. I don't know what it is about me talking about virtual reality, but it is helping Gnarly out. You know, so are you going to spend all that money, time, effort on virtual reality, or are you going to spend it on a normal game? You know, that everyone with a PC can run, and most likely everyone with an Xbox and a PS3 can run. You know, that was back in 2017. Now, the Quest opens up the same possibility that the Wii did, which you only have to buy one thing. You're not splitting your player base on the Quest. The only way that you'd split your player base is if you had something available for the desktop that does not then have a Quest port. That does arbitrarily limit yourself, because all those people who don't want to spend $500 to $1,000 on a computer are going to be playing exclusively on the Quest. And also, this is just a personal note, after using it for a while, I don't like Quest Link. I like it without the wires. I think it tracks a lot better, as weird as that sounds. But you know, that might be a personal thing. But you're no longer really arbitrarily splitting your player base. You just have to make sure that you're actually making a game that works well in virtual reality. And with the I'm sure that Xbox will come out with some sort of virtual reality thing over the next couple of years. Ooh, that was such a nice block from Gnarly there. But it's a lot safer of a choice now. But like I said before, these are the same tools, the same games, and honestly, you can spend a very small amount of money revitalizing a game versus having to spend all the time and effort on making a new one. So where did I even get on this? Oh yeah. Yeah, it's so strange that less people play it. That's why less people play virtual reality. They don't know if they're going to like it. They don't want to spend the additional money on picking up a headset. And oh no, ReapeR, don't make this match shorter than it needs to be, ReapeR. Come on. But you know, people will usually have their first exposure to virtual reality in some sort of public VR event, or maybe a friend has it and they go ahead and they try it. That's how I first got into virtual reality. My roommate was the first one to buy a VR headset. He doesn't actually even play VR anymore. And I immediately off the bat was just like, this is the future. We're in the future right now. And I think that a lot of people, when they put on a VR headset for the first time, have a similar reaction. But it's still hard for developers who aren't strictly virtual reality developers to take that risk, because it is a lesser player base. That gap is going to if I was a betting man, which I am, I would predict that gap between people who have normal gaming consoles and have some sort of virtual reality setup, the difference between those two values is going to slowly shrink over the next couple years. And more VR games are going to come out and capitalize on that. And if CCP puts in the effort now, they can get ahead of that with a game that's already established, right? Just put a fresh coat of paint on it, add microtransactions and a quest port, and we're fucking good to go, baby. But I can also understand from a developer perspective why they don't. It's just convincing them otherwise at this point. All right, let me fucking, now that I'm /end rant. Okay, I was about to say, let's finish up this match and then I'll go through chat. I guess that's perfect timing there.